The rain was coming down hard when Jake Thompson heard the faint knock on his garage door. He wiped his hands on a greasy rag, already tired from a long day under the hood of a pickup. He wasn't expecting visitors. Opening the door, slowly he saw a woman in a soaked trench coat, holding the handles of a small wheelchair. In it sat a little girl, no older than 9, wrapped in a blanket, her big eyes staring up at him, not with fear, but curiosity. The mother's voice trembled. "Please, someone told me you build things no one else will." Jake looked at them both, unsure of what he was getting into. His shop wasn't a hospital, and he wasn't a doctor, but there was something in the girl's eyes, something like faith. He invited them inside, where the scent of motor oil, metal, and rain mixed thick in the air. The mother's name was Carla, and her daughter's name was Lily. Carla explained that Lily had been born with a spinal condition. Doctors said she'd never walk, but Carla had heard stories. How Jake once built a bike for a boy missing both legs. "You made him ride," she whispered. Jake didn't know what to say. That project had taken him months and nearly broke him, physically and emotionally. But the results had made it worth it. He'd never imagined it would become a whisper of hope for others. "I'm not a miracle worker," he said gruffly. Carla nodded, brushing Lily's hair back. "I'm not asking for a miracle. I'm asking you to try." Jake kneeled down in front of Lily. "You okay with me poking around your wheels and gears?" Lily grinned. "I like machines." That one sentence lit something in Jake. He brought them into the back, past half-finished projects and dusty blueprints. Jake's garage wasn't much. Concrete floors, fluorescent lights, shelves packed with metal scraps. But it was his world. He asked Lily to describe what walking felt like to her. "It's like dreaming," she said. "But when I wake up, it's gone." Her voice didn't shake. She didn't cry. That's what startled Jake most. This girl wasn't broken. She just hadn't been given the right tools. That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He stared at old sketches in his notebook, mechanical supports, motors, sensors he couldn't afford. He thought about Lily's face, her confidence, her quiet courage. He'd built rigs before, simple assistive, devices, bikes, crutches, modified scooters, but never something like this. Still, something inside told him to try. He cleared the garage the next day and started working. He didn't tell anyone. He didn't want hope to outrun reality. Carla and Lily returned every evening after school. She'd sit beside him, watching, intently, sometimes handing him tools, sometimes asking questions he wasn't prepared for. "How do you make something that does what legs do?" she asked once. He paused, hands covered in grease. "You don't copy legs," he said. "You build something better." Her giggle filled the garage. Jake started calling her engineer in training. Each evening, she watched his sketches come alive. Metal rods, tiny servos, padded supports. Jake borrowed parts from old wheelchairs, scraped together sensors from a junked 3D printer, even rewired a treadmill motor. His hands ached at night, his bills piled up, but he kept going. Something about Lily's presence made the garage feel warmer, more alive than ever before. Week by week, the prototype grew. First, a frame that fit around her legs, then supports that adjusted with her movement. Carla watched from the corner, sometimes smiling, sometimes wiping tears quietly. Jake never asked what they sacrificed to come here daily. He just knew he couldn't fail them. Lily was learning too, how torque worked, how power converted to motion, how balance needed feedback. She asked things no kid her age should care about, but Jake saw it. She wasn't just hoping to walk, she was hoping to build for herself, for others like her. One afternoon, as Lily sat beside him, sketching her own design for jet boots, Jake asked, "Why do you believe I can do this?" She looked at him calmly. "Because you didn't say no." That answer it broke him. He thought about all the people who had said no to her, doctors, teachers, kids on the playground. He didn't want to be another. That night, He stayed up until dawn, soldering a control system. By hand, fingers raw, heart racing. This wasn't just about motion, it was about belief. For the first time in years, Jake believed in something bigger than machines. The prototype was finally ready to test. Jake called it Stride 1. It looked bulky, metal legs with shock absorbers, knee, joints controlled by a sensor pad mounted near her waist, and wires running to a repurposed processor mounted like a belt buckle. It wasn't pretty, but Jake didn't build pretty. He built useful. Carla helped Lily into it, adjusting the straps, her hands shaking. Jake stood a few feet away with a controller, his thumb hovering over the activation switch. "Ready?" he asked. Lily nodded. Carla knelt beside her daughter, tears in her eyes. "Walk slow," she whispered. Jake flipped the switch. A soft whir came from the motors. The exosuit stiffened around Lily's legs, calibrating. She took a breath, gripped the walker handles and moved her foot. It responded, almost instantly. One small step forward. The room froze. Carla gasped. Jake forgot to breathe. Lily smiled. "It tickles," she said. Then she moved the other leg, another step, then another. She wobbled but didn't fall. Jake blinked hard. He hadn't programmed her to take more than 3 steps, but she was going on her own. "I'm walking, Mom," she laughed. "I'm really walking." Carla covered her mouth, sobbing as Lily made her way slowly across the garage. Jake stood stunned. He'd tested the rig on dummies, on models, but this was real. She was doing it, and not just walking. She was living the dream she'd once only drawn in her notebook. The machine hissed, adjusted, flexed, more like armor than aid. Jake approached carefully. "How's it feel?" he asked. "Heavy," she said, "but lighter than not walking." He didn't know what to say. He looked at Carla, who mouthed, "Thank you," again and again, but he didn't need thanks. He needed a moment. Word began to spread. Carla told her pastor, who told the school, who told the local paper. One morning, Jake found a reporter outside his garage. "Is it true? You made a girl walk?" Jake hated attention, but he couldn't deny what happened. He let them in on one condition. No flash, no chaos, no interrupting Lily's progress. The article went viral. Emails poured in. Parents from across the state begged for help. Jake panicked. He wasn't ready. He didn't even know if Stride 1 would last a week. But when Lily walked in front of her class, everything changed. The school gave her a standing ovation. Her classmates wept. Her teacher couldn't speak. Jake watched from the back, hidden behind a row of lockers, trying not to cry. Lily beamed. "And this is my friend, Jake," she told them all. "He's not a doctor, he's not famous, but he made my dream walk." Jake couldn't move. It was the proudest and most terrifying moment of his life. He knew what came next. Bigger expectations, more responsibility, but for that moment he let himself feel something he hadn't in years. Joy. And as Lily walked toward him, he smiled. When they returned to the garage that evening, Lily ran her fingers across the grease-stained workbench. "What if we build more?" she asked. "For kids like me?" Jake stared at her, stunned. "You want to help?" She nodded. "I'm tired of being helped. I want to do the helping." Jake leaned on the table, eyes misty. "Then let's do it together, engineer." As night fell, they stayed in the garage, sketching new ideas on old blueprints. Outside, the rain began again, but inside, a new future was being built, one bolt, one wire, one dream at a time. Months passed, and Lily's progress didn't slow. It accelerated. Jake modified the original exosuit as she grew stronger. Stride 1 became Stride 2, lighter, quieter, smarter. Jake built a small room behind the garage where Lily could experiment. She added colored wires, painted decals, and even named her tools. Every day after school, she worked beside him, learning circuitry, motors, coding. Carla found a job nearby just to stay close. Jake wasn't just building machines anymore. He was building confidence, independence, purpose. Word spread faster than either of them anticipated. Soon, they were getting emails from people they'd never met. A mother from Iowa sent a video of her son, born with brittle bone disease. A father from Detroit called, begging for a version of Stride that could help his daughter dance. Jake didn't know how to handle it. He wasn't a company. He was one guy in a garage. But Lily said something that shifted everything. We don't need to fix them. We just need to give them the chance to move their own way. Carla helped upload the videos to a website they called Project Stride. Lily created the logo herself, a pair of walking shoes made from nuts and bolts with wings on each side. Donations started coming in, small at first, $20 here, $50 there. But then one video went viral, Lily sprinting for the first time. The footage, shaky but clear, showed her laughing, arms flying wide, Jake running beside her yelling, "Don't you fall, kid!" By the next morning, they had $50,000 in their donation account. Jake panicked. He'd never held that kind of money in his life. "People are trusting us," Carla said gently. "What will you do with it?" Jake didn't hesitate. Build faster, build smarter. He ordered better tools, bought stronger materials, and turned the back of the garage into a clean assembly lab. Lily recruited her friends from school, artists, math kids, a quiet girl who could solder like a pro. Jake mentored them all. It wasn't a business yet. It was a movement. The mayor showed up one day, unexpected. "I want to help," she said. Jake, still wearing his stained apron, blinked. "We're not ready for spotlights," he said. But the mayor disagreed. "You're what this city needs, a reason to believe again." She offered a grant and a space inside an abandoned school building downtown. Jake was skeptical, but Lily was excited. "A real lab, Jake, and space for more kids like me." He looked at Carla, who nodded. "Sometimes opportunity knocks louder than fear," she said. That night they visited the school and saw possibility in every crumbling hallway. Jake spent 2 months gutting the space. He didn't have contractors. He had volunteers, neighbors, local veterans, retired teachers. One man donated wood, another brought fans. Carla made lunch daily for the crew. Lily painted murals on the walls, blueprints turning into wings, broken parts morphing into flight. When they finished, they called it the Stride Lab. On opening day, children rolled in, some in chairs, some with braces, others limping, but all filled with hope. Jake stood by the entrance in disbelief. He never meant to start anything, but somehow he had built a revolution out of grease and grit. Media caught wind of the opening. News trucks lined the street. Jake refused interviews, but Lily stood proudly in front of the cameras. "This isn't about walking," she said. "It's about building things that let people become who they already are." That quote went viral. Major outlets covered the story. A billionaire philanthropist named Catherine Hale saw it while traveling. She watched Lily speak and cried. Her daughter Emily had been in a chair since birth. Doctors had told her there was no chance. But watching Lily, something changed. Catherine reached out, requesting a visit. Jake almost said no. But Carla said, "She might change everything." Catherine arrived 2 days later. Her presence was magnetic, tall, elegant, with a soft voice and sharp eyes. She asked questions no one else had. She saw not just machines, but a model that could scale. She met the kids, toured the lab, then sat across from Jake in silence. "You're doing what billion-dollar firms fail at," she said, "because you care more than they ever could." Jake shrugged. "We just try." Catherine leaned in. "I want to help you do this on a national level, with funding, with reach." Jake didn't trust her at first, but Lily whispered, "She's like you, Jake, just with more tools." That made him laugh. Catherine brought in lawyers, engineers, consultants, but under one condition. Nothing would be commercialized without Jake and Lily's full control. "This is yours," she said. "I'm just giving it wings." Over the next 6 months, the Stride Lab became a prototype for similar centers. First in Atlanta, then Denver, then San Jose. Every center followed Jake's model, kids learning, building, adapting, not just receiving help, but becoming the help. Wheelchairs became stepping stones, not destinations. Lily's fame grew. She spoke at conferences, met senators, even sat beside the president at a national innovation summit. But every time she stepped onto a stage in her latest exosuit, sleeker and lighter with her name printed in chrome, she pointed back to Jake. This man built a future in a garage. Imagine what we can build together. Jake hated the spotlight, but he loved the results. He kept mentoring, inventing, sketching at 2 a.m. One evening, he came into the lab to find Lily working alone. "What are you building?" "Now," he asked. "Something for kids who can't lift their arms," she said. Jake helped her, and the next prototype was born, a torso-powered exo-frame that allowed limited upper body mobility to control motion through gesture. It was a game-changer. By the end of the year, children who'd never fed themselves could wave to their parents. The emotional ripple was bigger than the tech. Schools called. Doctors asked for partnerships. Parents sent letters filled with gratitude. But Jake stayed grounded. He still lived above his garage, still fixed the occasional truck, still kept Lily's very first sketch taped to his wall. He wasn't chasing headlines, he was chasing hope. One day, as they were testing a new stabilizer system, Carla walked in, holding a stack of letters. "From all 50 states," she said, eyes glistening. "Every one of them, saying thank you." Jake looked down at his hands, scarred, tired, aged, but steadier than ever. He thought of the girl who once said walking felt like dreaming, now designing dreams for others. That night, at a private event hosted by Catherine Hale, Lily was honored with the National Freedom Through Innovation Award. When asked how it all began, she smiled and said, "A garage door opened. The room fell silent. Tears welled in Catherine's eyes. Jake, standing in the back, tried to hide his emotions. But everyone turned toward him. The applause started slow, then swelled. People didn't clap for tech. They clapped for heart, for grit, for a man who believed in a girl, who believed in herself. When the spotlight found him, Jake just nodded. "Sometimes," he said, "all you need is someone to say yes." After the ceremony, Lily hugged him tightly. "We're just getting started," she whispered. Jake smiled. "Then let's build the impossible." The next morning, Jake returned to the lab early. The sun hadn't risen yet, but he saw a group of kids already waiting at the door, laughing, chatting, sketching ideas on notepads. They weren't patients. They were engineers, innovators, dreamers. He unlocked the door and let them in. As the lights flickered on, the hum of possibility filled the space. Machines blinked awake. Screens lit up. And somewhere in the back, the sound of laughter echoed through steel and circuits. The impossible was already happening. One step, one screw, one child at a time. He turned to see Lily helping a boy adjust his leg brace. She wasn't wearing her suit that day. She didn't need it. Not for balance, not for confidence. Jake realized something profound in that moment. The suit didn't make Lily walk. She did. It was her spirit, her mind, her refusal to quit that powered every step. The machines were just the bridge. He stepped back and watched her guide others, just like he once guided her. The teacher had become the leader, and the garage, just a humble beginning to something far more powerful than invention. It had become legacy.